Okay, so yesterday we imported the starter files. We opened the scene called prototype one from the scenes, which was a part of the package, and we added my car from the prefabs. We went to vehicles, course library, vehicles. We added one of the cars here. We renamed it, and then we added the script called car controller, which makes the car go forward, right? This, and we also added some obstacles on the road. We placed them at different locations, and we added rigid bodies to both the car and the obstacles so that we get a real life kind of a collision when the car hits any of the obstacles, right? So today we will be going forward from here. We will be starting from the uh, section 1.4 of the unit 1. Okay, lesson plan, you can check that out. So now what we want to do is that we want to make the vehicle move left and right. Currently, our vehicle is just going in the forward direction. So I want to make the vehicle go left and right. So for that, I'll just go to my scripts folder. I'll open my car controller script because moving left and right is also a part of the car controller, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a public variable. See, it's already giving me suggestions. So I'll do public float and turn speed. Turn speed is how fast I want to turn. Basically, the angular turning speed, right? Turn speed, and let's say we keep it at let's give it a value, say 10 for now, and then make the car go forward. Now I'll just add one more comment. I'll just clean this up a bit. Okay. Next, I want to turn the car left and right. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just do transform dot translate. Transform means that the transform component of the game object to which this script is attached, right? So basically, the car controller is attached to the car game object. So transform means the transform component of the car. This is my car on which the script is attached. Let me just click it. It will show an error over here. Yeah. So this is my car. It has this component car controller, and I am accessing the transform property. So basically, I'll modify the transform from the script. So whatever components are attached over here, or whatever components you see, all of these can be accessed from the script. Okay. So translate, and I want to translate to what? Say vector 3 dot right. Okay, because I want to move it vector 3 not forward, but I will do dot right, and let's multiply by delta time and turn speed, right? This is why, because we want to give it a real time feeling. It should not move at a very high speed because this function is being called once per frame, right? And our default frames per second is going to be around 60. So this function will be called 60 times per second. That means this turning will happen 60 times per second. So to make it move or rotate or behave in a real life manner, we are multiplying by time dot delta time, right? So basically, it is a time between each frame. Basically, it will be 1 by 60. Its value will be 1 by 60. And turn speed is just a factor by which I want to scale, just a variable so that I can control how much turning I want. Okay, let's see now how it works. Okay, I save it. So basically, if I now move back to my Unity editor, if I click on my car or whatever you're calling it, player, your vehicle or something like that, you should be able to see the turn speed variable over here. Right now, what we'll do is I'll just run it in the focus mode. And because we are not taking any input for turning, I'll just change the values over here while we are in play mode to show you how the car is turning. Okay. So I'll just click play and I'll keep my mouse over here. See, the car is going left and right. Let me just reduce the speed to say maybe 2 for now, and then let's see. Because it is quickly going, I'll just remove the rigid body for the sake of this remove component so that it does not fall off the road. Okay, so I'll just let me save it and I'll click on play, and then I'll just change the variable from here. So basically, car is going left and see now. As I am moving left, I am changing the values to negative to positive. It is going left and right. Okay, got it. So if I go F and maybe like focus it from a distance, yeah, so it is going in this direction. And if I just change the values over here, it will go left and right. Maybe let me reduce the speed as well. Yeah, so if I now reduce the speed to negative, the turn speed, then my car is actually coming back instead of going forward. See, it is coming back because my speed is negative. And if I now change the turn speed, maybe, okay, maybe just do this -1 so that it is going slowly. But negative means it's going in the reverse direction, right? So now if I focus, and it is going towards left because the turn speed is -18. So if I now make it go right, I can do like this. I can make it increase in the right direction. Now the car is going in the right direction. Okay. If I change left and left. So you should see the car controller script. I'm changing the value of the turn speed. So it is going left and right. And if I change the speed up, if I make it 0, it will stop. It will just keep, it will just move in the reverse direction because the speed variable is -1, right? If I increase, it will start going forward. If I decrease, it will start coming back. Like simple, easy to understand because I'm changing the direction because of the sign. Right now, if you have observed, so what's the problem with the cars turning right now? Either speak up or write in chat. Like what is it? What is different in the car, the way it is turning? Like is it behaving in an actual car-like manner or it is not?
No,
So
sir, it is
currently,
going linearly sideways.
yeah, but so it is
It's
going
not
like this.
taking.
This is not
Yes.
how the car turns. Okay, correct. And another problem is that we have to change the values from here. That's not how we want to control the car. Basically, we want the car to be controlled by the player or the user using a keyboard or maybe a gesture or whatever you want. But we want a user to control the car. So now we will take input actions and then use them to drive the car. So for that, we'll just move on to our script again, and what we'll do is we will just get the input for my car. Okay, keyboard control of the car. So I'll just take basically keyboard input. So how can I capture that? To do that, we have to first create a variable, right? Horizontal input is equal to, or we can call it, right, input.get access. It gave it by default. There is a line because my script does not know what horizontal input is, so we have to define it first. Unlike Python, we have to define all the variables and their types. So public float horizontal input, and I can just leave it as it is. It does not need a default value because we are giving it value from our input access. Now horizontal input means we are basically talking about left and right, which is the arrow keys in my keyboard. So you just have to write it horizontal over here, horizontal, and that is done. Cool. So it is capturing. So this thing will capture the amount of the horizontal input. So basically, this has come from the definition of video games and the controller. So if you have played any video game, there are small thumbsticks which you can press left and right, forward and backward, right? So it is basically capturing that input, like how much you are pressing it on the left, how much you are pressing it on the right. How does it translate to the keyboard? It's like how long you keep pressing the left and the right button, the value will go from -1 to 1, right, or 0 to any either direction. If I press the right key, the my values will go from 0 to 1, like say 0.00 something, point 0.1, point 0.2, point 0.3, point 0.4 to 1. If I press the left key, it will go from 0 to further left. Okay, now I want to capture my horizontal input as well. So what I'll do is I'll just basically in here I'll just multiply by the horizontal input, right? It should work because this is how we are turning in the right direction, multiplying with by time to delta time to get a real time behavior. This is my speed, how fast I want to turn it, and then I want to give the value of my keyboard input. So here my keyboard is being captured. So basically transform my car or make it turn in the right direction based on my horizontal input. So now let me try if I can do it with my keyboard. Hopefully there are no errors, and yes, let's play. And I'm pressing the keyboard keys. Yeah, see, it is going left and right. See, it is going, but it is going very slow. Why? Because my turn speed is 2. Let's make it 10. Horizontal, and you just keep an eye on the horizontal input. It will keep changing as I press the keys. Okay, so I'm pressing right key, it is going to 1, -1, right key 1, and again -1. You see some numbers in between that. So basically, it is taking some time how long I'm pressing it, and that's it. Cool. So now we are able to move the car based on the keyboard, but similarly, we want to add a function to capture the vertical input as well. Basically, I want to make the car forward and backward. So for that, what we'll do is we'll just create one more variable, just copy and paste, and we'll call it vertical input. Vertical means forward backward. Oh,
Sir,
right, vertical input. Yes.
so I how that get access thing will only get in the like left hand right movement when we press like how it is connected to the arrow keys. Like
Yeah, I'll show that. So basically, this is this function, no input. It's an predefined function of Unity. So if you go to Unity editor, or let it load. So there is a whole profile which is by default added. So like for game controllers, for keyboard, for mouse, what are like some default actions any game could expect. So there is a profile already created here. So you'll go to edit, project settings, and go to input manager. Again, you can click on axis. See, these are all the things. So horizontal is either left and right or A, D, right? You can use any of these. Okay. So axis horizontal means the name is horizontal. Basically, if you want to call it from the script, you have to use this name. And the negative button is left hand side. Basically, if you press the left key, it will go to 0 to -1. Right key is the positive button. It will go to 0 to 1. Then there is alternative button, just like in Counter Strike, you can navigate from ASDW. You can use A and D as well to move the car, right? That is there by default. Okay. And similarly, the vertical button, then you have actions for fire button, and they by default map to any joysticks. Either you can map the joystick if you're using a controller, right? Or there is a fire button, you have triggers on the joysticks, right? There are one trigger, and there is this multiple buttons, right? X, Y, A, B, then start, menu, all of those buttons are there. Like submit button is there, cancel button is there. So all of these are by default mapped, and you can actually configure it based on your requirements. Suppose you are making a new controller which should take different buttons, and you want to map it to the default configuration, you can just add all of that here, right? So that's why I'm just getting. So if I just call input, it is actually addressing the input manager, and then I'm doing get axis. It is doing this axis by name. I'm calling this horizontal axis, and based on that, I am capturing the keyboard input. That's it.
okay, thank you.
Right, so I'll get the vertical input, get axis vertical, and similarly to make it forward, I'll just multiply by vertical input, and that's it. Okay, this, let me remove this, it's not required anymore. Get the keyboard input. Now let's see if my car goes forward and backward with the speed. Let's keep it 10 so that it's not very fast. I save the script, we'll go back to Unity. Okay, so now just look at the horizontal and the vertical input on the right. See, now the car is not moving by default. Why? Because the horizontal input is 0. Previously, the car was going forward because this thing had some value. Until here, it had some value. But now, since I'm not pressing anything, this thing is 0. This thing is 0. That means the whole translate is 0. So it means do not move at all. It will only move when I press a key, right? So now let's see if I press a key. So this is like going forward and left and right, and it is hitting all the objects as well. Okay. Now it is working fine. The only problem left is that it is doing the sliding motion, not the actual turning thing, right? So we have to take it. This is the next thing to handle over here. Okay, this is done. Now we want to make it actually rotate, not translate. So what we have to do is I'll just leave it as it is. Maybe copy and then not copy. Let's do it on our own. So now we want it to rotate, not translate. This is a translate function which is actually moving the whole game object in that particular direction. So there is a separate function called rotate. Rotate. The definition of the function, if you hover over, you will see apply the rotation of Euler angles z degrees around the z axis, x and y. So basically, you have to provide what angles and what related to what you want to move it, right? So for our use case, we will just apply basically the vector up and the turn speed. So I want to turn my car along this green axis, and the green axis is the y axis. So what I'll do is I'll just provide and y axis means vector 3 dot up, right? Vector 3 dot up is the y axis, and about this axis I want to turn it by what amount? I want to turn it by amount called time dot delta time. First of all, my horizontal input. whatever my horizontal input is, multiplied by time dot delta time by turn speed. See it complete by itself. So basically, rotate this particular object on which this script is attached. That means my car, rotate this along the y-axis, which is up, and by the amount should be this much. How many degrees you want to turn is this much. My horizontal input, time dot delta time multiplied by turn speed. Let's see how it works now. So now I can go forward, I can come back as well, and I can turn like this. Okay. This was the behavior we were expecting, right? So now I can turn the car like an actual car turns. Okay, cool. This is done. Then, right now we will see some of the correct coding practices. Okay. So first of all, now, like, since we have tested these values work pretty fine. So I'll just make it 10 over here as well. And then maybe I'll just convert all of this to private, right? Because we should not expose our variables. So making it private means these variables are not accessible outside this particular script. Making it public means anybody can write a separate script and access all the public variables and the public methods. Okay. So even if you give your game, they can actually hack it and enter the God mode and do whatever they want. Right? This
Sir,
is, yes.
so when I did the vertical input thing, after that my car is just moving left and right, but not moving forward.
So just check, have you mentioned this thing in the translate function or something else? Did you mention left? So if you want to make the car go left and right, you have to mention vector 3 dot right if you want to do the sliding thing, which we were doing before. So it has to be vector 3 dot right, and making it forward means going it forward. To move it forward is vector 3 dot forward, right? Can you share a screen or is it okay?
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, cool. So your car is going left and right, but not going forward, right? And you should not make any spelling mistakes over here, then it will not work, because it was basically searching this name in the input manager on the axis drop down, right? If there is like horizontal some spelling mistake or capitalization error, then it will not work. So basically,
Okay.
I'll show it to you. So if you do it H and I save it and I run it, then it will throw up an error. Could not find what small h horizontal is. Yeah, see, there is an error. It will not move. Even pressing forward, left and right, nothing will work, right? Because the way the code execution takes place is top down. So if it got stuck over here, then it will not move forward. So the rest things are fine, but still they will not work. So let's stop it and see what the error is. So they are saying argument encryption input access horizontal is not set up. So it is saying you asked for horizontal, but horizontal is not set up. Basically, what it means is there is no definition or there is no functionality which is attached to this horizontal name, right? So you can define your own. Basically, this is one of your assignments. Okay, just make it H. So is it working now for you?
I am trying to see. Yeah.
Okay, anybody who gets stuck, please let me know as soon as possible, right? Because initially you will face such issues which are like very normal things, but later on it will be like second nature to you. You will understand what is going wrong. Okay, so now let's look at some of the basic code practices.
I have a doubt.
Yes.
So this is regarding the camera. So if
Hmm.
we take the right, the car, it is working fine. If I can take
Hmm.
right, left.
Hmm.
But if I take a U-turn, the camera is not taking a U-turn. So
Yeah, that is because of this offset. So basically, we are not following the orientation. We are just following the position, right? So basically, if your car is going here and there, it could be at any orientation. But it is just following this 3D point, not the orientation of this point. So you have to write a separate script, which could be a homework for you guys, so that it follows in the correct direction as well, right? So what we have done is whatever my car's transform position means just XYZ. So if you do position, if you hover over here, you will see it's just a position. The world space position will transform. So that means only XYZ. So XYZ does not change if you rotate the object. The XYZ will remain same. So that's why it is not working.
Okay, okay, okay.
So let me just try this out. If I turn the car completely and say suppose, okay, the turn speed is really slow. More like a road roller than a car. Yeah. So the camera will not move because still the XY, it is just following the XYZ. So you can write a separate code or maybe just Google search. You will find it. It's actually a good question. Uh, so the camera should follow the orientation of the car as well, not just the position, right? So you have to write a separate script, key whatever the transform dot position and transform dot rotation, transform dot rotation is equal to the object rotation, but then you have to give it a offset relatively to that, right? Because if your object turns there, your camera will turn here only. So now your object is facing somewhere, your camera is facing somewhere, like they will become parallel, right? So you have to handle that as well. Cool. Then just for like next small thing is just cleanup of the code, which is already done. We have to define all the variables over here. There should be no exact values here in the code. You should comment properly. This is done for now. Let's have a quick recap. Now we know how to do. We learned about translate. We learned about rotate. What are the inputs for this function? You have to give in which direction you want to translate by and by what amount. Okay, and rotation takes which direction you want to rotate and by what amount. Okay, we followed the camera. So basically this is done. Now this is your challenge which you have to do probably by the next class Monday, not if not tomorrow. Okay, so you have to, this is there in the PDF. You will find the code files also there. It's a small challenge where you have to program a plane, which is kind of it is more of a Flappy Bird kind of a game, but with a plane. You have to fly it, and there are some challenges as well. Okay, and the solutions are in the PDF only. You can try those out, and if you are getting stuck anywhere, you can look at the solutions. Right? Then there is this just a small thing which is like the Google, like it's the design document. Suppose you want to come up with your own game, then you have to create a one pager, which is basically a project idea. It should define things like this: what are you going to control in this, which kind of game it is, and how to control that, and what the effects are going to be of the control. Like the player will jump, the plane will fly, the car will drive, or it will shoot uh, whatever bullets or something. Then what is the basic gameplay of the game, whatever the project that you are making. Okay, so like say suppose it's a plane flying thing. So during the game, the opponent planes will come and hit you, appear from the sky. Then the goal of the game is to defend your plane, avoid getting hit, and hit as many enemies you can hit. Just an example. So it's kind of a pre-filled template that you should use for any project you are making, right? So I don't think it is really important, but it's not that difficult to understand. So basically, you can get a Google Doc there. If you click on the link, you can make a copy, and it should open up it's like this, just a single page or document, and then basically your timelines. So suppose I plan to finish my game in 1 month, then what I'll do in the first week, what I'll do in the second week, what I'll do in the third week, right? Or if you have some drawings, you can attach a drawing. So basic a two-pager documentation for any kind of project you are making. One of the game design principles, you can use this. Okay, so then we move on to the next. So the idea here is that once you finish this unit one, you should have a idea of a game or a project that you want to make at the end of this course. So that idea we want you all of you to capture here. You either do it individually or do it in groups. It's completely up to you, right? Then this is like part of that only. Some your minimum viable product sketch you have to finish over here. Basically, if you this is some game where the player has to cross and reach at this end, and there are some cars going around. Okay, something like this. Now we have a quiz for you. I want all of you to quickly write the answer in chat. Okay, Now, first question is, which Unity window contains a list of all the game objects that are currently in your scene? Scene view, project view, hierarchy, or inspector? No time for thinking. Write the answers correct right now. Hierarchy correct. Very good. Next question is, Visual Studio is not part of Unity. You could use a different code editor to edit your C# script. Is it true or false? Either you can like Visual Studio only. True. Are you sure? Correct, because you can write in your notepad or whatever editor you like. It's just a code editor, not a part of Unity. Next, what best describe the differences between the below images where the car in the second image is further along the road? Okay, so they are asking what is the difference between these two? How can you explain the difference in the Unity terminology? The second car's X location value is higher than the first car, the Y location value is higher than, or Z location value is higher than. This is your coordinate C. Yes, because Z is this way, X is this way, this car's Z is more than this car's Z. Simple questions. In order to, in what order do you put the words when you are declaring a variable? Yes, come on. So data type, access modifier, variable name. So this is the access modifier, this is the data type, this is the variable name, this is the variable value. Now what is the answer? Access modifier, data type, variable name, variable correct. This is the correct answer. I hope you are not reading the answers from the PDF. Like, okay, which of the following variables would be visible in the inspector? Out of these four variables, which would be visible in the inspector? Turn speed, speed, horizontal input, forward input. What will be visible? The correct answer is C. So by default, if you do not write anything, I have not discussed about this, but if you do not write anything, that means by default it is public. Okay. So these both will be visible. They both are private, so these two will not be visible. Next is, what is the possible value of the horizontal input variable? What were all values could come here? This I have discussed. Can -10 be a part of this? So what is the input value we saw in the inspector? What were the values that were coming up over here when I'm driving the car? Car controller. Okay, I've made it public now. So C is not the correct answer if you are answering for this. So the value, the float value that you will get are only between -1 and 1. So only B is the correct answer. D is not the correct answer. D is a vector direction. And this thing is a value, a floating point number, a decimal number. Floating point with respect to the programming language terminology. In math terms, it's a decimal number. Okay, so the answer is B. You can only get values between -1 and 1. Okay. No points to anyone on this. What is true about the following two lines of code? Transform or translate vector 3 forward, transform or translate. Okay. So are they same? Are they different? What is this? They will both move an object at the same distance. They will both move an object in the same direction. They will both move an object along the same axis. They will both rotate the object. So what? B. They will both move an object in the same direction. Yes. And I think A is also correct because they will both move an object in the same distance. So it is the same. No, actually not. Vector 3 dot forward is your 0, 0, 1, right? I don't think so. Vector 3 dot forward is the Z direction, and this is the X direction. They will both move along the same axis. Translate X, Y, Z. And this is forward. I don't think so. I don't think so. I have a doubt. We'll check it. Next question is, which of the following lines of code is using a standard Unity naming? Which of these are correct? A, B, or C? Public with P capital, F capital, both small, S capital, or this one? This we have discussed. D is the correct answer. Roshan Anthony is the winner. Because the public variable, there is no B has to be small, F has to be small, and the nomenclature is the first letter of the variable name should be small. We follow camel casing. So camel as in the first letter is small, rest all could be like turn speed, T is small, S is capital. Cool. Which comment would best describe the code below? Horizontal input and then transform rotate vector up by horizontal input. So what these two lines will do, we have to write in comment. Rotate around Y axis based on left and right arrow keys, rotate around Z axis, rotate in an upward direction based on left and right, move object up and down. So what is this? Come on, quickly. D is the wrong answer if you're answering for this. D is the wrong answer. moves the object up. This is rotate. It will never move the object. Right. So B rotate the z-axis based on up and down. Yes, this is the correct answer. We have just done this, no, in the script. If you see, rotate vector up, rotate the car. Okay, turn the car left and right about the z-axis because it's coming up. Okay. So now the image below shows the preferences window that allows you to change the which script editing tool. Okay, this is what we have seen yesterday. Choose a alternative coordinator. So where will you click? Okay, the red thing, green thing, blue thing, whatever, wherever you click. So the answer is a red box. Yes, we did it yesterday. Now we had to check. Do you have answers also here? So be prepared for the next quiz. The answer is A. Vector 3 dot forward is equivalent to 0, 0, 1, which has the same magnitude as 1. Even though, yes, yes. So guys, so again, let's revisit question number 7. So this thing is forward is 0, 0, 1, and like it is a 1 unit in the z direction. So forward means 0, 0, 1, and this thing is 1 unit in the x direction. So basically A is correct. So they will both move an object with the same distance. So distance is just unit of length, not the direction, right? So only this thing is correct, right? So well done with the quiz, and you have a bonus feature, basically one more assignment for you where you have to create a obstacle pyramid. Then you have to create a oncoming vehicle. So basically, instead of just obstacles, you should have vehicles coming to you, and you should have this camera switcher thing, right? So you have to place two cameras and you have to switch between them, just like an actual. If you have played NFS, you can press the C key to get inside the car, get that bird's eye view, or get at the top of the or at the bonnet of the car. So you can do that, and there is a local multiplayer at the end, right? So first thing is you have to put some obstacles, make a pyramid. Then you have to make some vehicles come on top of you. Then you have to change the camera switcher. And the third one is the local multiplayer. You have to do a split screen thing, and you have to attach different functions. Like you asked about that input manager. So in this case, you have to define different inputs in your input manager for two players to play together with the same keyboard. It's a local multiplayer, not the uh, network one. It will not require internet, just setting up different key inputs and setting up two cameras in the same scene. Try it out. You will have all the solutions here. There is a step-by-step walkthrough as well. You try this, and we will get in touch in the next class or Monday. You take some time. So with the remaining time, let's start with the next unit, which is basically the basic gameplay. Okay, so I'll start for this. This is done. I'll just save it, and I will close this one, and I'll just quickly post the files of prototype 1 starter files, unit 1, unit 2 starter files.zip. Okay, so I'll just put it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so I have put it in the group. It should reach you anytime soon. Okay, yeah, it's there in the group now. So you can actually, I'm following the all lesson plan thing, which has all the lesson plans. I can also share a separate lesson plan for unit 2, but basically everything is over here, right? So to start with this, I have to make a new project, which is called prototype 2, and then maybe just import the file, just like what we did in the previous session. So I'll go to my Unity prototype 1. I'll make a new project. For the new project, first of all, I'll give the path, which is Unity learn, then Unity projects, unit 2 here. Select the folder. The name is prototype 2. Prototype 2. And let me know if you guys have any doubts in the previous project. Prototype 2, or if you are getting stuck anywhere, or maybe you can go home today, try it out over the weekend or in the next class as well. You can ask. On Monday, we would like to see the assignments. Okay, while the project is loading up, what we will do is, so basically it's a top down game where top down game as just like have you played Space Invaders or something like that, where some objects are coming from top and you have to shoot from below? Maybe what is that game? Uh, ping pong, where like there are multiple bricks and there is a moving platform, there is a ball. Whatever it hits, it will keep blowing up the objects or the cells. Yes. So basically, we will be making a similar game. Here, the go objective is there are multiple animals which are running towards the farmer. The farmer is over here. How to zoom it? Yeah. Okay. It is zooming the zoom window. Yeah. So basically, there are animals which are running towards the farmer, and the farmer has to shoot food in order to basically feed the animals. Otherwise, the animal will are going to eat the farmer. Okay. So we will look at multiple things. We will first of all, for the very first time, we'll be creating, say, prefabs in runtime. So the food or the bullets that the farmer is going to shoot out are going to be a prefab that needs to be instantiated whenever a player presses a key, mainly the space bar. Then we have to move the player left and right, and we have to also make the animal vanish if the food hits the animal. So kind of like animal is now done eating the food, he will not. He's done. So we need to make him vanish from the screen. Then, of course, the left and right, we have to do that within a range so that my player cannot does not go out of the view of the camera, right? So we have to do those sort of controls, right? Then press first spacebar. This I've already told. Destroy animals off screen. All the animals, of course. So because it is going to be just like I'm spawning the food or the bullets, the animals will be spawned in runtime, and either they will hit the farmer or they will go beyond the view of the screen. Then we need to destroy them as well. So basically, like some basic things that are done in every game. Then we have to have this random animal stampede. Basically, random animals are spawning at random positions and they are running towards the farmer. All of them we have to do. Okay, so now our project is open. We can stop talking and start working. Create with code. Yes, okay. I'll place it to the right and I'll start. So this is my empty project. It looks like this. We have seen it before, right? So what I'll do is I'll just quickly import the as a starter file which I have downloaded right now, but I need to extract it first. So I'll extract. Now I can see the starter files. It is again a Unity package. Good. I'll go to edit. Then I'll go to import assets. Oh, sorry, I go to assets. Import package, custom package. Now I'll go to unit 1, 2, starter files, and this. I'll select all of the components. Everything is selected. I'll just quickly import. Okay, bhai. Okay, I'll click on import then. So once it comes up, then I need to switch to the scene. Okay, there are some warnings and we will ignore just like in real life. Then we'll go to so I'll go to my scenes. If I can see a scene, there is a scene called prototype 2. I'll just open the scene. It looks like this somehow. What it contains, basically there is a main camera. Where is my camera? Okay, it is on the top. Why? Because we want to give a 2D kind of a feeling or like a top-down view. That's why my camera is like this. And the view I get is from top towards down. So basically, if I focus on this and I open the gizmos, you can see the viewport. So this is what I'm seeing. It is like this only. So I'll set my scene also like this so that I can have a relation. Okay, cool. I'll just switch off the gizmos. Right, then there is a directional light. Okay, the environment is there. It has a ground. It has a left border. It has a right border. That's it. Okay, so just like in the previous unit, we will like to add some components now to the game. So first thing we have to add a player, animal, and food. Okay, so for that we'll go to library. Let's add humans. First of all, let's see how each human looks like. Maybe first this one. I'll press F. This is how it looks like. Okay, more of a Minecraft feature. Okay, they have this kind of beard and all. Oh, nice. So maybe not this one. Brown, black, white. We are brown Mondays, so we'll take brown only. Okay, this is much better. Cool then. So this is our farmer, lady farmer, and it is placed at a correct position as per the camera objective, camera perspective. She is over here, right? So what I'll do is I can rename it as player because I want to control this from my keyboard. So I'll just call it player, and that is it for now, right? And now next I want to add what? I want to add some food, right? First of all, let's see, look at animals. Dogs, whoever like dogs, Labrador is fine. Okay, it is this way. I want to turn it to face me, or it is okay. I can turn it like this. Oh, right. Okay. And let's have a German Shepherd as well. So they are by default, they are spawning at 000, but we can place them randomly. And I can press the E key to rotate. Okay. This is my German Shepherd. Now we look at animals, some say farm animals. Chicken, brown, white, a horse. Let's add a horse. Okay. And we'll just press E. It will move like this. Cool then. So they are already rigged, I think. So they are very low poly design of animals, but they are looking pretty good for this kind of a small game. Okay, then let's add an animal rooster brown. What's a rooster? Where is the rooster? Okay, so it's some distant cousin of chicken only. Okay, so I have placed it over here. Maybe I can move this thing towards the side. Okay, so I've added animals. Then what else is there? I have to add food as well as per the documentation. Cool. So I'll have food. Where is my food? Food. So what do you like? What do you like? Wine, steak, pizza, sandwich, pizza, or let's have pizza. This is my pizza. How does it look like? It is okay on the ground. Okay, but it is pretty small. Let's scale it up. So let's do it. What? One. Let's make it two in all directions. So if I click this, all the things will get changed in the equal amount. If I don't do this, then I can change this to something else, say 3, and the rest all will also change. If it is not clicked, then only we can change individually. 5, then maybe this could be 1, then this could be 6. So my pizza can look like this. Better, let's make it 3, all 2 is fine. Cool then. This is my pizza. Okay, added, done. What next? So I have added all of these components. This is my player. These all are my animals. This is my food, right? You can choose whatever you like. Now what next thing is I want to capture keyboard input so that I can move my player around. So just like the last time, what we'll do is we will go to assets, create a new folder first to hold all of my scripts. I'll call it scripts. Then I'll create a new script called player controller. I'll rename it just now. Controller double L. Okay. So player controller is done. I'll just quickly open it in, it will by default open in VS Code for me. It's a new project. I'll just close the previous project. Cool. Right. So again, we know how to do a input. So simply we can just have a public float, what you call horizontal input, Let's, and I want to capture it in update. So we just get keyboard input. Just commenting is good. Okay, so I'll do horizontal input is equal to input dot get access. Where is the IntelliSense? Oh yeah, it takes some time, but it comes. Get access. What do you? So what to capture over here? Horizontal, right? And that's it. And based on that, what I want to do is I want to move my player to the left and right. So what I'll do is I should not have closed the previous project. I just, or maybe I can copy it from here. You guys should write it each and every letter yourself. Okay. I have not defined speed for now. So let's define speed. Let's call it public float vertical input, but I want to call it speed. Okay, public float speed. Now speed is there. Vector 3 right. I should move it right based on my speed. It should work now correctly. Okay. Now let's see if it will work. So now what else I have to do to make my player move? Come on, guys, quickly in the chat or maybe speak up. I have to attach this script to my player. That's the right answer. Okay, now let's do it. If I move it, transform to translate, everything is right. My player should move. Okay, so if I am pressing left and right, my player is not moving. Why? Any guesses? Quickly. The answer is because the speed is 0, so this whole thing becomes 0. So let's keep my speed as 10 and we can change it. Now if I do use my keyboard, my player is going left and right, but let me zoom out. Okay, I have to click here. It is going left and right. Okay, awesome. But we have to limit its motion. See, now it went off. So now this should not happen. It should always remain in the view of the player. So for that, let's create some bounds. Okay. So for that, first we need to know what is this in the terms of the axis. What is this coordinate or maybe this line which goes straight. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly move it from here to here. Okay, in the blue screen I can see this is the maximum limit I want to keep, or maybe just a bit right. So the x value of this is 15. So let's keep it 15. Right. So what I'll do is I want to move. This thing should work only when if I hope everybody knows what is if in programming terms, right? Just like in English, it is if. So if my transform dot position dot x is less than 15, then only it should work. So maybe I'll just put it like this. Uh, okay, I'll just add comment. Check for the limits. Then move the player based on keyboard input. Right? Fine, check for the limits. So if this is plus 15, then it will not go over there. Okay, I'll make it 0 again so that it is at the center. So now we'll test if so this will only work if it is less than 15, right? See, now it is not working. Now I'm not able to bring it back as well. Why? Any guesses? So it reached 15 and now it is not happening. You can see the horizontal input is changing, but my player is not moving. That's because the current position of my player is 15 point something. And in my code, I have written only move the player if this is less than 15, right? So we have to fix this thing as well. And of course, there has to be a left limit, right? So now we will do it in a better way. First, I'll pause my game. I'll go to above. I'll define, say, public float x limit, right? And I'll define public float y limit, right? And x limit is 15 and y limit is nothing yet because we are not moving in the y direction. Okay, x limit is 15, so I have to check if the transfer position is less than 15 and not and what it is going to be, and or say or operator. I want to check both the limits. How will I do that? Galaxy. This is the answer of some other question, right, Srinath? And it is going to be and I don't think so because yeah, I think it is and. Let's try out. If it not work, we'll change. So my transform dot position control C, this one should be less than the x limit. Now we are not using the variable x limit and should be more than the
Give the or only.
or only for sure minus
Yeah.
minus x limit. Any rationale behind that? So it should be less than 15 and it should be more than. I think it is going to be and or to will not work here. right? Because we want it to be between this, like it should be always between this. Both should be satisfied.
Oh,
So if it
okay.
is less than this, and it should not go beyond this, right? It should be like greater than this range and less than this range, right? And otherwise less than this or greater than this, so it will kind of conflict. Let's see. But still something is not right. So let me try this out. It should it should be between left and right, and also I'm assuming we will face an error, not an error, but a glitch. So if I do left and right, it is going left and right, but as soon as I reach one of the limits, it should stop moving. Yeah, it is stopping moving. Awesome. Cool then. Okay, so now how to fix that? Mhm. So, okay, so what I'll do is basically whenever it is going to any of the limits, it because the float value is more than 15, so I'm not able to move it here. So what I'll do is I will just move the player here, Control X, and I'll keep it moving in this loop only, main loop. And as soon as my position goes beyond this, I'll set up the limit to be but I can't do it in both together. So let's Control X. If it is less than this, then you should transform dot position show of X should be my X limit. And why it is not taking it? Because it's not a variable. Why it is not a transform dot position is not a variable? You can not return. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? Transform dot position is should be a variable, right? Transform dot. So is it because of the spelling or what? Position, not X. Sorry. So the error over here is that the X thing is this. So basically we have to set it like this. New vector 3, and the X should be my X limit, and Y should be whatever my Y already is. Dot position dot Y, and my Z should always be whatever my position is already in the Z direction. Dot position dot Z. Okay, and it needs a bracket. And similarly, the same thing we need for, I'll explain whatever I'm doing. Okay, so if it is more than the minus of the X limit, then you just make it the X limit. Okay, now let me quickly test it. If it works, then I'll explain what I did. Okay, so if I now, okay, player position, why the player position is already moving to that X limit? If okay, because it is less than, okay, yeah. So I'm setting it over here. This is not right. So if this thing is working, then so what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to keep a check uh, that if it reaches one of the limits, then instead of using that particular limit, why it is doing that? I have to save the code. Okay, XML limit, it should work. So basically, if it reaches any of the limits, then I'm resetting its transform, or I'm resetting the X position to be the end point so that it still keeps moving, but it is never going beyond the limit, which was happening before. So it is going now, it will go out and it will go out over here. Okay, we are coming back. So basically, right. So we have to put the checks. Let's look at the PDF. It says the same thing. Limit, change the transform. That's what we did. Clean up the code. We already did. Wrote the cleaned up code only. If okay, is greater than the x range is less than the minus x range. So this direction is minus x. So if it is less than, yeah, that's the point. So if it is lesser than and if it is greater than, basically I messed up with the signs. So my x limit is 15. So if it is less than 15, of course it should work. It should not work when it is more than 15, right? And my x limit is minus 15. So if greater than minus 15 is like it is already on the right hand side. So it should be less than. Now it will work. So basically I'm resetting the position whenever my object is out of the right. So I have sorry, this is my playing area, and suppose this is my player, this is my x limit. So this is my x limit, right? And whenever my this is like the positive x axis plus x, right? And this is minus x. So whenever my player, suppose it moves and reaches at this particular position, now at this point the x is more than the x limit. X is greater than the x limit. So what I'm doing in code is that I'm resetting its position to x is equal to x limit, so that I can still be able to move it with my keyboard. So basically, whenever it crosses, I'm bringing it back over here. So every time it crosses, it will always be spawned over here. So for the user, it will not go beyond this particular point. And same for this direction. So it should be greater than minus x limit, and it should be smaller than the x limit. So we messed up with the signs last time. That's why my player was going to one of the extremes. So it should work now, hopefully. Okay. So now if I click, if I go towards one of the extremes, it will reset and I can come back. Yeah, awesome. It's working now. Right? Why? Because so if you look at my player and you look at this direction, see, as soon as I reach, it will for a fraction of a second, it will go to beyond 15's array. Sorry, it will go beyond 15, but it will become 15 as soon as it goes beyond. See, more than, and so it is not visible, but it is actually resetting the position very quickly because it is happening 1 by 60th of a second, and that is not something we can capture from our eyes, right? So I'll just let's move forward. I hope everyone understood what we did over here. So at every frame, I am moving my position based on my keyboard. Then I'm doing a check. If the position X crosses the X limit, you reset it to the X limit only. Basically, if it is going the right boundary, it is going beyond the right boundary, you make it come back to the main boundary. And if it is going beyond the left boundary, you make it come at the left boundary itself. So I'm just changing the X position of my transform. Y and Z are remaining same. If I change it, then we can expect a different behavior of my player, right? So it is done. Let's move forward. So we'll planning to close the class by 8:30, right? So that you get some time to grab your dinner. Next is I want to launch my food. Okay, so now my player is moving. I want next thing would be I want to launch my food, and then I can make my animals run towards me, and then we can check the collision thing, right? So now basically I want to write a script for this food thing. Maybe let's just call it food, right? So that it's easier to address. Now I'll create a new script, C# script. I'll call it move forward because basically I wanted to use so that I can move any object forward. That's it. So this script is not going to be anything new, something we already know already about it. So I'll just create a public float, say move speed or something. Public float move speed, right? Let's keep the value to some, say 20 is equal to 20, and then update. What I'll do is transform dot translate, and it should move where, in which direction it should go forward, right? So this direction, where is my player? The error player is here. Let's make it come at 0, and the forward direction is z. So basically I want to move it in which direction? Vector 3 3 dot forward, right? And by what amount? Not plus, but multiply. Move speed, that's it. And what? Time to delta time. Yes, cool. Now let's see if it works. Okay. So now it will work if I play on run. It will not work because I have to attach the script. So I'll do move forward either here or on top of the player of the food, right? Now let's just focus on food and let's observe how does it behave. Let me give this view. If I click play, now my food should go forward and it is going forward. Fine, no? But it is now what to do with this? It needs to stop. Now what we want to do is I want to make this food a prefab. Prefab as in like once it goes beyond the scene, it will destroy, and whenever I press the keyboard button, I should keep launching it. So what I'll do is I'll go to assets, I'll create a new folder called prefabs, and I will save all my prefabs over here. So I'll drag and drop here, and it has to be a prefab variant because the food thing is already a prefab. I have added a script on top of it, so now it becomes a new thing. So I want to make a prefab, not a variant, but a would like to create a new original prefab or a variant. I want to create a original prefab, right? Because it's a new thing for now, from now on. So it's a new like this. I have made it a prefab. Now what can I do is, okay. Next thing is to get the keyboard input. Okay. Now we have to launch the. So basically now we have a prefab. Now I want to launch it from the player. When the player presses a keyboard button. So what we'll do is we'll go to the player controller. We'll go to scripts folder, click on the player controller. And in the player controller, I want to create a new prefab because we want a new variable to hold a game object like the food prefab. We can name it as food prefab just to foof, not foof, food, right? Food prefab, and I want to launch it when I get the keyboard input. So this is my horizontal input. Here only let's get a spacebar input. So let's create a variable for that, right? Or maybe I think it's not required. So what we can directly do is I can just see whenever the spacebar is pressed. So I can do if input dot get key down. So the axis thing is pretty normal, so we can get it from the axis, basically the movement of the player. But if you want to get a specific key, we would like to look at get key down function. So get key down, and you can have it key code. Key code is a parent class for all the keys that are there in the keyboard. So key code dot space, yeah, space is fine. If this happens, what I want to do is I want to instantiate. It's a new thing. So basically, I'll just write it. Check if the space bar is pressed. Launch the food prefab if it is pressed. If it is, just launch the food prefab because we are already inside if. So the default function to instantiate a prefab in the scene is you just write instantiate. Then if you just hover over this function, you will see it clones the object original and returns the clone. So basically, it will take what object you want to you want to instantiate, what position you want to instantiate, what rotation you want to instantiate. So what I'll do is I want to instantiate food prefab at what position. I want to instantiate the prefab at the position of the player, right? If I am here, it should look like I am throwing the food. So it should be my position. So I'll do transform dot position because this script is attached to the player. So the transform means the transform of the player, and the rotation should be of the player as well. So we can take it as rotation should not be of the player, right? Because it should be of the prefab. So I'll do is food prefab dot transform dot rotation. Then it should work fine. So let me try this out if it is working or not. One thing is we have to attach the food prefab in the script in the inspector window, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to my player, and here I can see a food prefab thing, and my food prefab is in the prefabs folder. I will just drag and drop. I will not drag and drop from the hierarchy, because hierarchy, it's not a prefab, it's an actual instance of this object. So if I attach this, then I can only fire once because it is only one object and it will go away. To instantiate, to repeatedly, to keep on instantiating newer objects of a same kind, I will always have to put it from the prefabs folder, or maybe somewhere from the project directory, not from whatever object is present in my scene. Okay, food is there. Now if I just save it and move, when I press the space bar, it should keep instantiating the food. Yeah, so it is working, right? I can, and you can see there are a lot of foods being created over here, and it will keep on increasing. It says clone because it's a clone. It's a prefab. See, if I keep on pressing the keyboard, I can just shoot food like anything. But we will see the issues with this kind of because my food instances are getting created, but they're not getting destroyed. This thing is done. Now I want to make my animal. Currently, next thing is I am able to shoot food. Now I want to make my animals move towards me. Right. So what I'll do is all of these animals, right, I have to turn it by 180 degrees. There, I think they're already at 180. 180 about the y, because I want my animals to face the player. So about the y-axis, I should turn it by 180. Okay, cool. They are at 180 and done. And what next? Select all the three animals and attach the component, move forward, and awesome, we can change the speed. And we can, right. Now I want the animals also to move. So what I'll do is I'll just add a component, move forward, right? And the move speed is 20. For all these animals, I can change the names as well, but I want to make them as what? Prefabs. Now they will move forward. So if I now click on play, let's just test once. They should all start moving towards my player. Let me just place them a bit back like this. Okay. Now if I press play, they should also start moving forward. Yeah, they are moving. And one amazing thing is that do they already have an animator with them. So if you look closely, let me reduce the speed to 2. You can see their legs also moving. So it is already pre-rigged. Yeah, see, looks like, and they have some sort of animation as well. Oh, awesome, nice. Okay, so this is done. Now, what I want to do, I want to make it as a prefab. So what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop, because once these animals move beyond the player, they are not coming back. So I want to destroy everything which goes beyond the screen and then respawning it, so that to give a game kind of a feeling. They are spawning randomly, moving towards the player, right? So maybe what I'll do is I'll give different speeds to each dog. So this dog is what, say 5, and German Shepherds seems like they can run faster. Horse is, let's say, 15, and Rooster, let's give 2 only. Right, so I have given different speeds. Now I can just drag and drop into the prefabs folder. I want to create original prefabs. A better thing is to actually create subfolders. Like these are my animal prefabs, these are my food prefabs. But for the sake of learning, let's keep it all of them together. Now it is fine. We have all the prefabs ready. Right, uh, we now want to destroy. I think this is okay until this. We can continue from here tomorrow and finish up the second unit as well. So any doubts until here?
So can you explain, like in what kind of assets should be prefab, and like again, the what should be not prefab?
Okay, right. So basically, if your ground is something, you have a huge plane and it does not needs to respawn during the runtime of the game, or like your environment is not going to respawn, then you should not make a prefab of that. Suppose your bullets or projectiles or some fire thing, you have to spawn it. Just like in Mario, you have to keep throwing that balls, no bullets. So all the things, all the objects which needs to be respawned, or which you want to use at multiple times during the play, all that you should make a prefab. So given our use case, we want to have kind of a situation where random animals are spawning and they are running towards my player, not just these 5, because they, once they go beyond my player, they are not coming back. So what I want to do is I want to keep randomly spawning animals, and then they should come together, start running towards my player. So I will make prefab of all the animals, and the player is just one. I don't need a prefab for my player unless I want to plan to have, say, for 3 lives. my player get 3 lives. If I die 3 times, then it is done. If I die once, then I respawn. Then I need a prefab for my player as well. Okay, so any object, any game object that you want to reuse multiple times during the play of the game, then you should make it as a prefab.
Why it's not added to the hierarchy? Then, like the reason.
So the reason is that, just like I mentioned, so these are the 5 animals, right? I want to, once they go beyond my player, then they are gone. No, then there is no use. They can keep going in this direction forever, but they will not be visible in my screen, and there is no interaction with them, but still they're in the hierarchy. So better I can make a prefab and can delete them once they are out of the scene. I can instantiate new prefabs. And for a game like feature, you would want to have different animals. Now there are, like, say, just these 4 in my scene. What if at later point I want to add some new? Say I want to add dinosaur, I want to add a buffalo, I want to add a cat. So I can create a prefab of those. I can just spawn it randomly in the scene and not just directly add. So whatever you add in the hierarchy, they only have a single instance of that. If they are gone, if they are not interactable, if they are beyond the view of the player cannot interact with these or play with these.
Oh, okay. So even if we don't add that to the hierarchy, it will come.
Yes,
by
that's what.
content.
So let me just remove all of this, as you said. So I'll just maybe delete. Now this. So now my animals will not come, but my food will come, because I've coded that right now. When I press the space bar, I'll get my food and you will appear. So whatever comes in the game will always appear in the hierarchy. So just you keep looking at the hierarchy. As soon as I press space bar, it will spawn a food. See, food is there. Then there is one more food, third, fourth, sixth, and see, it keeps on increasing. So everything will be visible in the runtime. As soon as I stop, they are gone. Right?
Oh, okay.
Similarly for animals. So now let's destroy animals off screen. We have to, maybe we'll take it tomorrow only, right? So the next task is for us to spawn the animals randomly, make them run towards my farmer, and I have to destroy both the food and the animals once they go beyond the view of the camera, right? So that my hierarchy is not filling up necessarily, because once the food is launched, I don't want to reuse it again. Okay, so I will delete those. So fine. Any more doubts at this point? You try this out. Follow the. We are in unit 2, and we are in 1.2, I guess. 2.2 food fight, and we are at the 6th step. If you want to refer to the, we did the projectile. We are calling it projectile. We are calling it food prefab. We have to launch the instance. They are calling it projectile prefab. I'm calling it food prefab. You can call it whatever you want. Then we have to make the animals into prefab. We have already done that. Right now, we will start from this point where we want to destroy the projectiles which are off the screen. So basically, we will define some Y limits. Y limits, as in like the Z. If this is beyond this line and this line, they should destroy. So very simple thing, just like instantiate, there's a function called destroy. We can do that as well. Okay. Any more doubts? Any more questions? Once if the player goes off the limit, it will go outside and cannot come back because it is out of limit. Shivang, you want to add this as a feature to the game, or you are asking this? Because based on the code that we have written, the player will never go out of the limit. It will always be within the limit. 8:11. I think you were talking about something else. Any more questions? Any more doubts? If not, then we can go and grab our dinner, and then we can meet tomorrow. Tomorrow we will try to finish up this unit 2 as well. Then you should be doing 2 set of assignments by Monday. Okay, for both for unit 1 and unit 2. Okay, then if there are not any more questions, then we should close this off. Okay, Professor Gautam, so far so good.
Yes, sir, I
So
have.
how, like, are they occupied on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like with workshops?
Most probably. Yeah.
So they can keep doing the assignment later next week, right?
Yeah.
Or we should put up a deadline, because
Monday
like they must be having Monday.
Yeah, Monday should be a deadline.
So let's keep the Monday session only for the assignments and doubts, right? We will
Yeah.
finish 2 units, and there are like, say, 4 assignments, two
Yeah.
assignment each, and there is a quiz as well, and there is some bonus things as well. So you try out, everything is there in the PDF with the solutions. you try it out and maybe try to go beyond the PDF, do a Google search as well, and try to add something on your own. That will be a plus point, right? So if there are no more doubts, thank you all of you for your time, and we will catch up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye, Professor Gautam.
Thank you,
See you.
sir. Bye.
Bye bye.